Welcome to Season 2, Episode 8, The Mysterious Mare-do-Well. Regardless of what I'm going to say in this episode, I really do personally enjoy this episode. It is very fun and entertaining for me pretty much every time I watch it. I always enjoy seeing the fun details they put in. It's just a really enjoyable time, even if, well, might not be the best made episode. It's still one of my favorites for enjoyment factor. Not like a top 10 favorite, but like, I will always watch it. It's always enjoyable type of deal. Bad friend points going to Rainbow, surprising no one. Let's get started. We open on a meeting of the Rainbow Dash fan club. Oh look, Scootaloo. Who would have guessed? Today's episode is technically a Rainbow Dash one, even though it's got technically everyone in it. Also, weird how we get 2 rainbows in a row. Oh well, they're good episodes, so let's go. Bon 54. I mistakenly said 51 twice in episode 6. Also, Snips and Snails, are you fanboying over both Trixie and Rainbow? That's dedication. Rainbow watching ponies fawn over her is apparently a pastime of hers, but she also plays some jokes and messes with the meeting in a way that makes her more awesome, so we're immediately doing another Rainbow ego episode, I guess. Though this one is more on vanity and basking in the limelight rather than like personal arrogance and overconfidence, something along those lines. Rainbow taking a dip in the clouds, as she says, is relaxing when she hears someone crying for help. This episode seems to take inspiration from comic books, like the Power Ponies episode later on, by having a bunch of random things go wrong within the same week despite things normally being quiet, while also having the catastrophes always happening within earshot. It's contrived, but it's kind of like the fun contrived that isn't important in the grand scheme of the major story, but is just used to make a fun and entertaining episodic showing. Compared to the Discord storyline that had actual stakes yet made contrived decisions, this story doesn't really matter in a larger sense, but it does still have stakes with like general pony safety. I'm not entirely sure how to explain how they're different. They might not be, but they feel different, if it makes sense. Rainbow notices that the yelling was coming from a well. Well, what a trope. Anyway, she dives into the wellhead first. Apparently all of the main 6, save Rarity, is just hanging out nearby when they heard this commotion. Oh, she's so comforted by Rainbow. Though she seems to be an earth filly, so maybe stop climbing really high into the sky for absolutely no reason. I mean, Rainbow's skilled enough that it probably won't matter or cause a problem, but that's still needlessly reckless. Lyra 46. Bon has appeared again, and this is technically a new scene and not the Rainbow Dash fan club, so that makes her Bon 55. Though if we want to say she's following Rainbow today because of the fan club, I would entertain it, but Snails is also here and he's wearing the fan club's shirt, so I'd say he's the one who's been looking for Rainbow. Bon isn't wearing hers, so she probably already changed and was going about her day normally. I'm not entirely sure what I'm even discussing with myself. Am I just trying to justify counting a second Bon in like 1 minute of screen time? I don't know, man. Rainbow also gets embarrassed at the praise and adoration of Ponyville. So whereas last episode was dealing with Rainbow's overconfidence, and this one will be dealing with letting things give her a big head, which is kind of what I was saying before. Similar. This expression could also be read as a, oh hey, I could get used to this, I kind of like this type of deal, which is what's going to cause her to get sort of like addicted to the feeling. Welcome to Infanticide Hill. It only exists for this one episode in an attempt to murder an infant. Not entirely sure how it went careening in the first place, that's not shown. Only the mother screaming is shown. It even cuts to a comical cliff edge, like there's just a massive hill and cliff in Ponyville, which there isn't. This episode destroys any semblance of continuity with Ponyville's design. That being said, it never really had any to begin with. I mentioned in season 1 how the houses and landscape always change around Ponyville, but while streets and housing being off is forgivable, giant hills and cliffsides arbitrarily being there is sort of a different story. Man, it's a good thing Rainbow's hobby is just sleeping on clouds. She always has a good vantage point of all the random chaos going on in Ponyville, which normally there isn't, but here there is. Maybe that's why she does it, so she can notice when something weird is going on, even with like the weather. She's not that responsible, let's be honest. This isn't even the same cliff face they showed earlier. It's become a flat level edge while the previous shot had like a curved up ramp. They can't even get the consistency of their inconsistent cliffs correct. What the hell? The main 6 are once again just randomly in the area to hear and witness the baby almost careening off the cliff as Rainbow saves it. Granted, since the main 6 were there, Twilight would have certainly been able to catch the cradle with her magic, provided she remembers she's a unicorn today. I would call this a subtle way to show that there was no danger to the baby, as sort of like a, oh don't worry, we weren't actually putting a baby in danger type of deal. Side note, why does Daisy's cutie mark always look like it's in 3D instead of pasted onto her flank like a tattoo? Y'all pointed out the layering problem a few episodes ago, but I'm pretty sure I've pointed out how strange it looks in season 1 as well. Did they not make like an actual 2D Daisy, or do they not want to draw it at every angle so they just made it pop out regardless of what angle it's at? I'm not privy to any animation techniques, so I'm not entirely sure. Lyra 47. I think I'm gonna skip this Bon since while this is technically a new scene, it's also kind of a montage and it feels weird to count her every time. She'll show up later after the montage, so I'll resume counting her then. Rainbow scares everyone about the baby maybe being hurt in order to joke about how the baby isn't cheering for her, calling herself everyone's favorite hero. Girl, you just had a mental breakdown last episode. Also, this mother pony's cutie mark has 3 fans, and the fan on the far far right is missing the outline for one of its edges for some reason. The paparazzi ponies from season 1 appear again. No sign of their stallion Pegasi counterparts though. I'm going to make sure I keep track of whether or not there's Pegasi or Earth Pony and then determine if they have wings or not to see how consistently the paparazzi are kept. Depending on how frequently they appear. I don't actually remember how often they appear. I don't usually pay attention to them. Rainbow throws the baby into the air to focus on the pictures being taken. Man, Rainbow was done dirty with the fact that this episode was directly after the last one. She'll still get her lesson and comeuppance, but after learning a very similar lesson, immediately dealing with another lesson in the same ballpark is obnoxious. It feels like it undercuts her growth in the last episode. This is also just a bad look for her in general, even if those episodes weren't concurrent. Like, this is insane. Twilight and Applejack both finally comment on the goings-on after Scootaloo says there's not enough words in the dictionary to describe how awesome Rainbow is, commenting on how modesty isn't one of the words they could use. Applejack's been here and done this already, so it's good that she's demonstrating growth after Fall Weather Friends and Applebuck season. Wonder when she'll contradict this episode herself. Or maybe she never does. Who knows? Twilight does follow up with saying Rainbow is kind of awesome, showing that she does still think Rainbow Dash is great, but maybe she needs to tone down her attitude, which is good character work for Twilight, showing that she has the ability to criticize, but is also showing how her thoughts about Rainbow have improved after feeling Pinky Keen, where she made Rainbow out to be really dumb with how she thought she would act in various situations. Oh no, the elderly people are all hanging out on a balcony. What could possibly go wrong? Well, that's unfortunate. Also, quick side note, but imagine getting like a pipe knitting or tea party cutie mark as a filly. It's like you're destined to be an old pony, like a guarantee. And the old pony runs forward towards the danger instead of stepping back into the building. Darwin Award winner, this guy. Also, the fourth pony on the balcony just vanished, the one that has the knitting cutie mark. There were 2 stallions and 2 mares, but now one of the mares is just gone. And no, she's not hiding behind them as her legs aren't shown anywhere underneath, like in the background. This Bonbon is still in the Saving Ponies montage, so I'm not counting it. This Lyra, though... Nah, we already counted 1 Lyra for the montage, so I'm not going to worry about it. Also, we know Rainbow can carry 4 ponies from season 1, but we now know that while adding a hot air balloon and an extra pony is too much, adding a wooden balcony is perfectly fine. Damn, she's strong. She can fly with like 300 pounds of weight. Like, actually really impressive. And an Academy record. Sorry, I know we haven't gotten to that episode yet, but I love that meme. Derpy43. First time we've seen her since like episode 5 apparently, unless I missed one in my notes. To think I felt bad for your crocodile tears last episode. How foolish of me. She plays the crowd and tries to get them to cheer and praise her more. Archetypal bad hero character stuff. Like, damn, Rainbow. Again, not counting the Lyra or Derpy. But also, all the ponies in this shot just don't have cutie marks for some reason. You would think they'd be like baked into the models with some of the errors we've seen with layering, but apparently not. It also does make sense that they just paste them on. That's how they always reuse cutie marks on different ones. Still, this was one hell of an oversight. A great Pinky joke, which is always nice to see, involving Twilight being like, call me silly, and then Pinky just calls her silly while also agreeing with her. Very funny. But the main 6 all seem to agree that Rainbow is kind of milking this and getting out of hand with her big head. This is the most attention all of them have shown towards one of their friends' mental states for like the entire show. Usually only like 1 or 2 of them notice something weird's going on, but they're actually all on the same page, and one of those 2 that notice is almost always Twilight. Way to go, Twilight. I'm very proud of you. Okay, legitimately, what even is this filly's cutie mark meant to be? I would say like a rotten apple or like rotten to the core, but it's not really rotten, it's just the core. Did she get it for eating? Is she part of the apple family? Is she the core of the town? Like, what are you? Also, still montage, still not counting Bonbon. The trio here are still upset that Rainbow is being arrogant, but instead of broaching the subject with her like they normally would, they're just talking ish in the corner. I'm flashing back to Ghostbusters and how annoyed Rainbow was. Pretty sure I've already referenced that this episode already, but it's because its entire purpose and lesson are kind of antithetical to this one. Oh good, Spike says hoof picked. Doesn't have hooves obviously, but he was raised by ponies and speaks Ponish normally, so it all tracks. That being said, every species seems to speak the same language. So I guess Ponish has overwhelmed like every other language. We know the zebras have their own language from Zikora's episode in season 1, but the yaks, griffins, changelings, and dragons all speak predominantly Ponish. Unless it's assumed to be that they all speak different languages and they all just can speak every language, which I doubt. This is the filly that had the weird apple core mark earlier in this scene, but now it's just missing for some reason. Fluttershy and Rarity just poof into this scene, not literally, more like they're just here now, and not referenced or greeted, just so they can show their disdain and disappointment for Rainbow. Why were they not shown normally? If it was Pinky, we could assume she came from the kitchen or back room, but no, it's just these 2. The expressions in this episode are great, but I'm already talking about a lot and can't point all of them out, so here's my recognition that yes, they are all enjoyable. Oh no, a new pony is in trouble. While using Pinky's, the town's, I don't flippin' know, the hot air balloon. It popped apparently, and now they're plummeting to their doom. Also, if you remember me talking about the balloon back in, I think, season 1, episode 16, the Rainboom one, 18, whatever, whichever one is the Sonic Rainboom, I said how the ownership of the balloon is nebulous, even though Pinky is the one who uses it predominantly, because here it shows a pony other than Pinky using the balloon, and they're wearing like aviator equipment that you would expect to see someone who owns and runs a balloon to be using. So I'm not sure if it belongs to her, to Pinky, or to the town. If it belongs to her, then she rents it out to Pinky in the town regularly. regularly. If it belongs to Pinky, then Pinky rents it out to her. If it belongs to the town, then she might just be the one who runs it for them. I don't know. The balloon confounds me. It might have also changed in development, where it started out as Pinky's thing, then became the town's thing, and then became her thing. Again, it just confuses me. Oh snap, Batman is real! But no, here we have the mysterious Mare-do-Well. So I'm going to spoil this mystery episode's mystery immediately. If you, for whatever reason, haven't watched the episode, which I doubt if you're here, but I'm just covering my bases by letting you know. So yeah, starting in 3, 2, 1. So this is Pinkie Pie. The identity of the mysterious Mare-do-Well is just the main 6, but only Applejack, Pinkie Pie, Fluttershy, and Twilight. Rarity made all the outfits, but doesn't actually get to partake in any of the heroics. Whenever we see the mysterious Mare-do-Well do acrobatics, like right now where she's jumping across rooftops, it's Pinkie. Whenever we see them fly, it's Fluttershy. When they use magic, it's Twilight. Applejack and Pinkie are hard to differentiate, but Applejack does the strength-based stuff, which I think only comes up once if I'm remembering correctly. I'll be pointing out who is in the costume pretty much every time they appear. Here we see Twilight is in the background as the mysterious Mare-do-Well is on screen attempting to obfuscate her identity. Also, something to note with the main 6's plan is that they made this hero and had this idea to save ponies, but used this disguise to avoid getting any of the praise of or fame of doing this, as sort of a lesson to show Rainbow that the goal is to help ponies not become beloved or famous. Modern hero shows need to take a lesson from this explicitly. Man, modern heroes suck. Oh hey, the mayor is a character again for like 5 seconds. She is, based on her dialogue, also working with the main 6, as she doesn't seem surprised by the Mare-do-Well's appearance, and also gives them their name, while also immediately knowing it's a mare and not a stallion, which is a bit of a hint for the audience, I imagine. Also, I guess it would be kind of obvious because the way stallions are built is very noticeably different. They got like the wider hooves in the bottom, general stockier build. Rainbow was upset at not getting to be the hero instead of being glad the pony is safe, demonstrating the entire problem with her mindset. Also, her cutie mark is on the inside of her back leg over here, which is funny. Runaway carriage. Apparently the pony that was pulling it snapped out of it somehow, or maybe it was being pulled by an ox or a cow or something. I don't know. Either way, it's not there now, which is strange. Almost like it's fabricated. Pretty sure it's not actually fabricated, as that would be extremely irresponsible. Plus, the expressions of the mysterious Mare-do-Well are saying that they're struggling and worried when dealing with these issues. Also, intentionally putting ponies in danger just to prove a point to Rainbow would be horribly irresponsible. I'm going to assume they wouldn't do that, even though I have evidence that says they might. Rainbow tries to quip while they're wildly sliding down a hill that definitely doesn't exist in Ponyville, and gets upset when they ask her to hurry up, so she moves to stop the carriage. In case you're wondering, the reason why Spider-Man can quip is because he quips while saving people. He doesn't pause to quip without saving people. Rainbow, you're failing at the multitasking part of this. And she fails horribly at saving them, because obviously, she's a Pegasi who's skilled at dexterity and agility and speed, not power, despite the fact that she can lift an entire metal statue, and can survive boulders falling on her that are weighing multiple tons probably. Oh look, another fabricated cliff to go with their fabricated hill, but a completely different one because we couldn't use the previous one. This episode hates Ponyville geographical continuity. I did recheck the Equestria map, by the way. Ponyville does have maybe a few small hills, but definitely no cliffs near it. Nearest cliffs are either at like Ghastly Gorge, Froggy Bottom Bog, or the Canterlot Mountains. Also, this is Applejack instead of Pinkie because of, the important reason of strength is required for this. And yes, I know I've said Pinkie is strong and probably could honestly stop this. I wouldn't even put it past her. Wow, Applejack stopped that cart with little difficulty. Like a little bit of difficulty, but not a lot. But Rainbow couldn't even do half of that. That's the Earth Pony power, which also correctly demonstrates why Rainbow should have definitely lost like every strength-based competition back in season 1's Fall with Her Friends, but I'm pretty sure she somehow managed to win in one, which she shouldn't have. I guess push-ups is more related to stamina rather than actual strength, but you also still need the strength, and Applejack is a flippin' farmer, so the most stamina and endurance of any type of profession, or the majority of professions. More evidence the accidents aren't fabricated is that Applejack leaves immediately instead of hearing the heartfelt thanks of the ponies she saved. They can't find that many good actors on such short notice, ignoring the future zombie prank episode. If you know, you know. And in case that wasn't clear enough, I'm saying that the ponies that just got saved are reacting as if this was an extremely dangerous situation with such skill that I don't think they would have the ability to find people this good at acting, and they do it for so many different people, or ponies, Hopefully that's clear enough. Rainbow is in shock and awe that the mysterious Mare-do-Well is stronger than her, which is fair other than Applejack and Pinkie Pie and Big Mac and probably most other Earth Pony stallions. There aren't a lot of ponies stronger than her. I'm mostly being purposely combative at this point. Rainbow is definitely stronger than generic stallions, but the other 3 are definitely stronger than her, which does narrow down the suspects for her. There are obviously other examples of ponies that are stronger than her, like Maud, but we're not going to get into every single one because we'd be here for a while and she wouldn't know about those ones. I think this is the first time we get to see a full construction site. We've seen construction ponies in Cloudsdale back in season 1, but here we see them in Ponyville, making some kind of 4 to 5 story building. I'm guessing it's going to be like a mall or an apartment complex. It's too small to be a storefront. Maybe Filthy Rich just wanted a new house. I love that the construction ponies are given 5 o'clock shadow and stubble. I'm pretty sure we've seen it before, but I didn't comment on it. Wonder how many beards and mustaches we get outside of Star Swirl the Bearded. I think Flim and Flam might have some, but not many others. Doesn't Doesn't Sunburst have like a goatee or something? Rainbow almost gets splattered trying to quip again. She's gonna learn at some point. This mare has an apple cutie mark, but is working construction. Good for her for not conforming to her mark and doing what she wants to do. Or it's a lazy error if we want to be less wholesome with it. Rainbow again, while a literal ton, if not more, of material is actively falling and almost landing on the pony they're saving, decides it's time for catchphrases and boasting. Why did this episode have to come directly after the last one? It'd still be bad, but at least it wouldn't be like so immediate and fresh. Also, yeah, it goes without saying that there's way more stuff falling in this scene than there actually would be above them, but whatever, it's cartoon problem stuff. And we get Pinky again in the costume. As Pinky will tell us later, she used her Pinky sense here to avoid everything that's falling, which might be the last time it's mentioned by name. I think I mentioned this back in the Feeling Pinky Keen, that we only see it like one other time, and I wish it was kept more consistent. Yeah, I think this is like the only other time it gets mentioned directly by name. It might get another offhanded comment here or there, but it's not really talked about as a thing, even though it's supposed to be a bunch of feelings for different things. I've seen various construction videos of accidents. It's usually 50-50 on if they react quickly and effectively, or if they just potato and stand still, letting whatever happens happen. This guy unfortunately rolled the ladder. Rainbow tries to brag about saving the one guy, only for the 4 people the mysterious Mare-do-Well saved to criticize her and claim the mysterious Mare-do-Well saved their lives and they are eternally grateful, which of course upsets Rainbow because the preservation of life isn't what this is about. It's about people worshipping and idolizing her. Put Rainbow in our world for one day and see how much she enjoys it after. In what is a very unique perspective on the Ponyville area, we see they have a dam and a water power plant type deal, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Yeah, they have electricity for things, but they don't really have power lines, unless I just haven't noticed that at all. So I guess it's all underground? Or are those Tesla coils supposed to imply that they have like wireless electricity technology? Or is it powered by magic to transmit? Are they generating magic instead of electricity? How does this entire thing work? Also, this is far enough outside of Ponyville that I'm more willing to believe this exists, even if it never gets mentioned or referenced or shown ever again. Rainbow notices the dam is cracked and leaking, somehow, from really far away, and decides that instead of informing the staff in charge of the dam, that she's going to use that massive brain of hers to plug it with her hoof, which cracks it more somehow and will inevitably cause it to crumble. You know what she does before it crumbles? Asks herself why no pony is here to compliment and worship her. Celestia, damn it. She literally pats herself on the back because no one is around to do it for her figuratively. What was her long game here? She can't fix it. Was she just gonna wait until someone noticed her? Well, she's dead. Ponyville is also screwed, or at least it should be, but the show is never going to show us how this would affect Ponyville, despite the fact that it is right there. Just right there off screen. It's called off-screen syndrome. If it's not on screen, then it can't be affected by anything. We finally get Twilight in the costume, and this is definitely one of her more impressive feats of magic we're about to see. Literally reconstructing the dam from scratch while it was exploded, and also fixing the leak. How is there a crack in the first place? Why is there not a unicorn inspecting it multiple times a day? Also, we can see the glow is from Twilight's magic, which is what tells us it's her in the costume. I don't believe we ever see Rarity's color magic, so we know it's never her. Plus, it's just told to us later. It's a new montage. Instead of a rainbow-focused one, it's the mysterious Mare-do-Well showing her up. So I'll count this Bonbon as Bonbon 56. Rainbow complains how the mysterious Mare-do-Well is strong, agile, and magical, questioning how she can compete with that. Maybe we can make this episode better by making the lesson more like being a hero or a good person isn't a competition. It's just what you're supposed to do. Like the entire purpose of being a hero is to be a good person with no desire for fame, fortune, no desire to beat anyone and anything else. Your only desire is to help and make the world a better place. Maybe. It's not what this episode's going to be about. It's not what the lesson's going to be, but that would be a nice way to spin it. And finally, Fluttershy makes her appearance, and only directly after Rainbow claims that her wings are her advantage, because as we'll see later, her friends are spying on her and trying to destroy her deluded overconfidence strategically, which normally I'd criticize this level of insane scheming, but it's for a good cause, so we'll let it slide. That's fine, right? The main 6 all compliment their particular parts of the mysterious Mare-do-Well scheme, which is a funny nod to their antics if you haven't figured it out already. And if you have, it's obvious that they're trying to push Rainbow's ego down even more, with Applejack explicitly mentioning modesty and humility. Another episode, another good round for some expressions. Applejack looks annoyed at Rainbow, failing to get the idea. Rarity seems like she thinks, oh well, guess we'll keep this going. Twilight looks confused at Rainbow's reaction being so volatile, and Fluttershy looks like she's brainstorming plans for the future. Personally, I'd switch Twilight and Fluttershy's reaction, but it works regardless, let's be honest. Rainbow is both surprised and upset at the lack of danger affecting Ponyville. Nice. Also, she's gonna go harass Granny Smith now. Granny Smith does the haha, I'm old gag again. The fact that Rainbow is struggling to push the currently extremely old and fragile Granny Smith is more Earth Pony power presentation. They even have her joints squeak like a poorly oiled metal to emphasize how old she is, and she's still holding her own. Oh no, not the worst possible emergency. Amethyst Star, while having a picnic with her presumed sister, is struggling to open the peanut butter. Where is a hero when we need one? Amethyst gives Rainbow a hollow thanks as Rainbow ends up not really doing anything, and Amethyst just does it herself. But Rainbow wants compliments and adoration, so Amethyst asks if she's milking this too much. Thank you, backgrounders, for not having any tact, because you can finally give Rainbow the rude awakening she needs. Lyra 48. Also, Rainbow takes the landscaper's lawnmower and mows the lawn, which he doesn't really disapprove of her mind, but he questions why she did it in the first place, and why she thinks it was heroic. Her answer does not inspire anything. She's just like, oh, I saved it from weeds. That's it. Rainbow's mood affecting the cloud is fun, though not entirely sure if it's intentional or if it's literally just responding to her mood. Or she could have also just picked a storm cloud to lay on. We know she can make storm clouds or at least manipulate them from Nightmare Night, so that's something. Rainbow has a monologue about how everyone only cares about Mare-do-Well and are ignoring her, wondering if something's wrong with her, and looks at her body and superficially says that every part of her is still awesome, failing to look at the most important part of herself, inside, at her attitude and behavior, while also lamenting how she hates to be alone, despite the fact that she sleeps alone constantly and works alone most of the time and practices for her flying alone, except for that one time with Fluttershy, but that was for a competition, not her usual training. Hard to feel bad for her after everything we've been through, and you probably aren't supposed to, whereas last episode seemed to have a stronger emotional reaction out of her, making you feel like she's truly repenting and to feel bad for her, whereas this time it's mostly just like childish pouting, as she is literally pouting on screen. Scootaloo arrives and is fawning over the mysterious Mare-do-Well and invites Rainbow to the parade for them. Since Rainbow didn't get a parade, despite helping a lot, it was probably an idea that either Twilight or, as we saw, Fluttershy had, and we already know the mayor is in on the mysterious Mare-do-Well plot, so that's probably why this is happening. Alright, last Lyra and Bonbon of the episode. I know Bonbon was in the last shot, but I was just going to count them both here. These are the last ones that I'm counting. One could argue that since they're intrinsically linked to the Rainbow Dash fan club, that their use in the plot was normal and consistent, thus they should have only ever been counted once, other than I guess Lyra, because I guess she wasn't technically at the fan club meeting in the beginning. Either way, kind of like the Best Night Ever, where I only counted them once for the entire Best Night Ever, but in Best Night Ever, they were only ever in one location, whereas this one, they've been everywhere. So, Bonbon 57 and Lyra 49. As much as I want to tell you who is in the costume for every shot from this point forward, I don't think it's actually possible. So I'm just going to have to take a guess for each one, and based on the theatrical nature of this celebration, I'd say we're going to start with Pinkie here. Oh look, Applejack and Twilight in the audience. So it has to be either Fluttershy or Pinkie, and given that Fluttershy hates attention, I'd say she wouldn't volunteer for this, even if disguised. So yeah, I'm going to say I'm correct with Pinkie. Here we are, the chase sequence, and I don't think there's been a switch yet, so I think we're still at Pinkie Pie. And after Pinkie turns the corner, I think this is Twilight for a very specific reason that we're going to go with in a second. I think this one in the background is Applejack, because in a moment, this one's going to do something that I think Applejack is the most likely to do. Pay attention to that. This is obviously Fluttershy. The other three are indistinguishable because of the hat, so I'm mostly just guessing based on whatever evidence I have. So the one in the background, in case you can't tell, is whistling and just whistled. So I'm going to say that this is indeed Applejack, as that's sort of her trademark and the trait that I think she would be most likely to do. Obviously the others could do it, but I think it makes the most sense for it to be Applejack. I think Pinkie or Twilight swapped over while Fluttershy flew Applejack out. Otherwise this is just Applejack. And it could also be that the previous one was Twilight who whistled and then she teleported out and this is Applejack now. But I think there's another hint we're going to get in a second that'll tell us who it is. And we can see here that the pony in the costume is smiling, so I'm going to say that it was Pinkie on top of the wall who jumped down and is now being chased, and this is her running down this path, as Pinkie is the most associated with smiling. Obviously the others could also be smiling, but I think based on the fact that it's her trademark, that's who we're seeing here. Another whistle, so I'm going to go with Applejack again. And this is Pinkie about to get ambushed. Yep, there's the Pinkster. And Twilight and Applejack reveal themselves as well. So how did the mysterious Mare-do-Well do everything? It's because it wasn't one pony. That's the fun mystery they gave us. And yeah, they all mentioned the various parts that they played that I've already covered, but they're all just super happy about it since they had fun saving people. But they didn't take in any of the limelight. They just enjoyed helping others. Good demonstration of heroism. And here's where Rarity mentions the costumes, as she is contractually obligated to do so. Rainbow is confused, wondering why they did all this. If they wanted her to stop being a hero, maybe? Which they say no, please keep doing that, but maybe stop bragging about it. Twilight and Applejack give a very good point that applies to all walks of life. Celebrating your accomplishments is normal and healthy, but rubbing them in everyone else's faces is not. They also squish in and act with humility and grace when achieving great things, while also doing the same when others outshine you lesson. So we got a 2-for-1 special here. Like, good lessons should not have been placed in this part of the season, directly after we learned basically the same thing, but in slightly different context in the previous episode. Okay, well, we learned the humility stuff last episode. The whole let others outshine you without being a poor sport thing is new to this episode, as we weren't really worried about that in the previous one. Fourth wall break. And the first time our letter to Celestia gets off-screened. But, well, we already get the idea, so I guess it's fine. Though it is a bit strange to start breaking tradition now in the middle of a season. Oh well, outro. And that was Season 2, Episode 8, The Mysterious Mare-do-Well. Man, it's not like a fantastic episode from a construction standpoint, but I really do still like it. Rainbow is done extremely dirty with where these episodes are positioned, and also how they treat her so badly, given that the lesson she learned in the previous episode was exactly not to do what she's doing in this episode. This was just done dirty. However, with my criteria for how I've been rating the episodes, I think I have to slap it with probably a 4 out of 10 for butchering a main 6 character. Even though I enjoy it, my personal rating for this episode is going to be a lot better at the end of the season. But for this part, I think I just have to give it that and then move on. See ya.